Why are we getting sicker year by year? The answer is closer to home than you probably think. For years now, adverts have been telling us cereals are healthy. Yet we know the more processed the food is, the less, not more, healthy it becomes. Hi, I'm Ricardo. I've been a personal trainer and a nutritional coach for 30 years after leaving the Royal Air Force. If you think any of these three options are a healthy breakfast, you would be sadly mistaken. And here's why. Most cereals and grains are processed to within an inch of their life. Then countless other ingredients are added to stabilize, preserve, color, flavor the food, none of which belong in the food chain. Next is the sugar content. Even the oats are nearly all carbohydrate. And unless they are rolled oats, they're not going to be that slow releasing sugar you're after. Best case scenario with rolled oats, you've got 2 to 3 hours before they clear the gut and raise the blood sugar. Before you start screaming anti-carber or ketoist, I'm not against eating carbs. With carbs, the secret is about when, not what. Let's have a quick look at the breakdown of each of these meals for a second, starting with the cornflakes. Hey, if you're enjoying this, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Starting with the cornflakes, we have 200 calories, about 38 grams of carbs, roughly 8 grams of protein, and a couple of grams of fat. Overall, that's in a 50-gram serving. Most of us would eat double of that. When we have French pastries deliciously designed to have near perfect 50-50 carb fat ratios, so we want to eat more. When we eat fats with carbs, especially, the insulin response can cause fat to be locked into the cells with glycerol molecules. Anyway, here's what you get. One croissant with jam and cream. You'd be getting 400 calories. That serving would typically have about 45 grams of carbohydrates, around about 22 grams of fat, and about 6 grams of protein overall. Last up, oats. I know a lot of you are probably in the oats are good for you camp. For a serving of overnight oats with berries, the general macro breakdown is around about 300 calories per serving. This includes roughly 45 grams of carbohydrate, which mainly comes from the oats and the berries. You'll also get about 12 grams of protein if you're using Greek yogurt, and around about 7 grams of fat. 2 to 4 hours later, it's out of your stomach. But here's my take. We only have one use for carbs, and that is to fuel performance. And they're great at it if you use them. The problem starts here. If you don't use them, your blood sugar levels rise, giving your morning cortisol spike a kick in the bollocks. That probably sounds okay. You think cortisol as the stress hormone, and it is, but it's also to wake you up in the morning and get you raring to go hormone. This is your first long-term problem. If it's not high in the morning, it will be high later on at night, meaning less sleep, lower quality sleep, wake tired, crave carbs, eat your quote healthy quote unquote breakfast and repeat cycle. Okay, if you're a morning trainer, you get away with some complex carbs 30 minutes before or up to 2 hours straight after. So what happens when we switch to fish and eggs? Let's start with the macros. 560 calories, 48 grams of protein, fat 40 grams, carbs 6. First noticeable difference is protein. 48 grams of muscle saving, appetite suppressing, metabolically boosting. Need I go on? Then the fats. Detailed fat profile. Saturated fat 8.5 grams, 3 from the salmon, 3 from the eggs, 1.3 from the pine nuts, and 0.2 from the spinach. Monounsaturated fats 16 to 17 grams total, 7 from the salmon, 4 from the eggs, 4.5 from the pine nuts, 0.3 from the spinach. Primarily omega-9. Polyunsaturated fats 10 to 11 grams total, 4 from the salmon, 2 from the eggs, pine nuts 4.5, the spinach 0.3. So omega-3 breakdown. Total omega-3 3.5 to 4 grams, 3 from the salmon, the main contributor, 0.1 from the eggs, 0.1 from the nuts, but that's mostly ALA. Spinach will give you 0.05, just trace of ALA. EPA and DHA are our most bioavailable forms of omega-3. EPA, DHA from the salmon. You get 0.6 to 0.8 grams of EPA and you get 1.2 to 1.6 of DHA. Total DHA EPA is 1.8 to 2.4 grams. It's important to note that this one meal provides a clinically meaningful dose for inflammation, brain health, and triglyceride reduction. Moving on to your omega-3s. The breakdown then. Total omegas, 5 to 6 grams. 4.5 from the pine nuts, your main contributor. 1 gram from your eggs, 0.3 from your salmon, and trace in your spinach. Omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, though, it's 1.5 to 1. This is excellent, far better than a typical Western 15 to 1 ratio. Omega-9s, okay, omega-9s, you've got 14 to 15 grams, 5 to 6 grams from the salmon, 3 to 4 from the eggs. You've got 4 to 5 from the pine nuts, trace in the spinach. Omega-9 supports insulin sensitivity and cardiovascular health. It also helps you absorb omega-3. So in summary then, you got fats, a total of 8.5 grams of saturated fat from the salmon and eggs. You got monounsaturated fats, 16 to 17 grams from spinach, eggs, pine nuts. You got polyunsaturated fats, 10 to 11 grams from the salmon and pine nuts. Omega-3, 3.5 to 4 grams from the salmon. EPA, DHA, 1.8 to 2.4 grams from the salmon. You've got omega-6, 5 to 6 grams from your pine nuts. You've got omega-9, 14 grams from your salmon, egg, and pine nuts. What does all this mean? Nutritionally high in omega-3, anti-inflammatory, cardioprotective, balanced omega-6 and 3 ratio, excellent for metabolic health, supports insulin sensitivity, moderate saturated fats, well within a healthy range. EPA DHA dose rivals a fish oil capsule. This is a metabolically elite meal for over 40s. Now we move on to the most important vitamin, which is vitamin D. From this meal, we get 720 to 880 international units of D3 from the salmon and eggs. The current RDA is 600 international units. However, It is widely reported that this level is massively low due to two main reasons. The first was a mistake on the original test results. The resulting average should have been closer to 9,000 rather than the puny 600, but these were never updated after the mistakes were realised. The second is that when these tests were done, they were looking for the amounts to correct rickets, not the optimal dosage. It is believed optimal body levels may be as high as 100,000 IUs. So with 700 to 800 IU start, a vitamin D supplement is still top of my most wanted list. I personally have 10,000 IUs daily in winter, which is the equivalent to 20 minutes of full body sun exposure, commonly known as sunbathing. You may want to ask your GP to monitor your blood calcium if you're going to go this high, just while you see the effect it has on your vitamin D levels and blood calcium. Ideally, you want to take magnesium with your vitamin D for effective absorption. This will also reduce any possible risk of hypocalcemia, which is too much calcium in the blood, especially when combined with drinking a bit of extra water. So what do we need vitamin D for anyway? Well, number one, bone strength and calcium regulation. Vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium and phosphate, which is essential for bones, teeth, and muscles. It prevents osteomyalgia, which is softening of the bones in adults, prevents rickets in children, reduces risk of fatigue in older adults as well. Number two, then, muscle function and strength. Low vitamin D is linked to muscle weakness, difficulty walking, higher fall risk in older adults. Number three, your immune system support. Vitamin D receptors exist on immune cells. Deficiency is associated with higher infection risks, slower immune response. Evidence for preventing specific infections like COVID-19 isn't strong enough for the NHS to recommend vitamin D solely for that purpose. But as their RDA is only 600 IUs, it's hardly surprising, really. Number four, then, mood, cognitive health. There's an association here. Research has shown correlation between low vitamin D and low mood, cognitive decline, seasonally affective symptoms. And number five, cardiovascular and metabolic health associations. Low vitamin D levels are associated with higher risks of cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and immune conditions, and also some cancers. Why vitamin D matters more after 40. Your skin produces less vitamin D as you age. Muscle mass declines. Vitamin D helps maintain strength. Bone density decreases. Vitamin D supports calcium absorption. Your immune function becomes less effective. Vitamin D supports your immune too. So finally, number six, why this meal is superior for adults over 40. High protein protects muscle mass. High omega-3 reduces inflammation. High micronutrient supports thyroid, hormones, energy. Low carb stabilizes blood sugar. High chlorine supports liver and brain. It's not carb heavy. High in vitamin D, extremely rare in food. Typical breakfast is carb heavy, low protein and low micronutrient. and leads to mid-morning hunger and energy crashes. So if you found this useful, feel free to join my free school community at school.com/executive weight loss. Alternatively, if you want to go a bit faster, you can join my paid community by going to activeNRG.com/start and book a phone call with myself, and we can see whether you're a good fit for the program. Goodbye for now.